The police are finally speaking up. And in an impassioned speech, police union boss said, "Stop treating us like animals and thugs and start treating us with some respect." And he brought up a very interesting statistic. 375 million interactions and almost all of them peaceful. Now, personally, I think we do have a problem with police militarization. And this happens, in a lot of small towns for some reason. I do think we need to make sure police are held to a higher standard as they're the ones who have to enforce the law. So it is a difficult situation. I certainly don't think defunding or abolishing the police makes sense. But the tensions are escalating. I want to read you the story and show you what the police are actually saying now as they fire back. But you're gonna need some context before I just show you what they're saying. First, a deputy was wounded after a gunman opens fire near California police station. The Hill says shots were heard around 3:45 a.m. near the Paso Robles police station, the LA Times reported. Sergeant Steve Odom said that one deputy who remains unnamed by the department was shot in the face. The deputy was rushed to the hospital and is in serious but stable condition, according to the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Office. They want to abolish the police. This is all part of demoralizing them. You have these rampant attacks. You have the press slamming and smearing them. And guess what? People are going to resign, and then it will make abolishing the police force that easy. Now, why would they want to get rid of the police? I honestly don't know. In Los Angeles, homicides this week have increased 250% in LA compared to last week. Is their goal to shock and scare regular Americans into desperately begging for law enforcement back? Seems like maybe that's what it is. You get a bunch of people who go a week or two without cops and they'll see how bad things really do get. Look, man, like I said, there are some reforms that can be enacted. Most people are in favor of some reforms. We want to make sure we're protecting civil liberties, but abolishing the police will breed absolute chaos. And, well, the signs are here. Bloody pighead left on a spike outside LA's notorious Rampart precinct during police brutality protests. I kid you not, a pig's head on a pike. I think we are going to see escalating tensions and conflict. And I think we are literally going to see the police across the country defunded to varying degrees and many departments disbanded. Minneapolis has already said so. At the same time, in Minneapolis, extremists have commandeered a Sheraton hotel. And here's the best part. Support the Minneapolis Sanctuary Hotel, a fundraiser seeking $200,000, and GoFundMe allows it. Let me explain something to you. Extremists have seized a building. They have stolen property. I kid you not. They are now occupying a building. And that it violates so many laws. I don't even know where to begin. GoFundMe will allow it. But if you're a journalist, say someone like Dan Dix, an independent journalist, and you get arrested and want to do a fundraiser for a broken camera or something, GoFundMe will ban you. Welcome to the new world. And the police are speaking up about it. But I'll tell you what, man. These cops coming out and speaking about this, it's all part of the plan. I mean, think about it. If these cops are angry, saying they're being treated like animals, while at the same time they're trying to abolish the police department, bro, they want you to quit. That's the point. They don't want police departments. What's going to happen next? Well, they want to be the police. But you need to understand. When they say abolish the police, it's not going to be a utopia of people holding hands and singing. It's going to be these wacko lunatic cultists walking around in their robes with large sticks, whacking people who are violating some kind of moral law or authority. Is that what you want? Well, you're going to get it. CNS News reports, during a press conference under the RFK Bridge in New York City on Tuesday, dozens of police union chiefs spoke out against the press and lawmakers vilifying them. Mike O'Meara, president of the NY State Police Benevolent Association, said that everybody's trying to shame us and added, "Stop treating us like animals and thugs and start treating us with some respect." When it was his turn to speak, O'Meara said 375 interactions with the public every year, 375 million interactions, overwhelmingly positive responses. But I read in the papers all week. We all read in the papers that in the black community, mothers are worried about their children getting home from school without being killed by a cop. What world are we living in, he asked. That doesn't happen. It does not happen. I am not Derek Chauvin. They, other police officers, are not him. He killed someone. We didn't. We are restrained. Chauvin is the Minneapolis officer who was charged with murder. Everybody's trying to shame us. The legislators, the press, everybody is trying to shame us into being embarrassed about our profession. Well, you know what? This badge isn't stained by someone in Minneapolis. It's still got shine on it. And so do theirs, so do theirs. Stop treating us like animals and thugs. Start treating us with some respect. That's what we're here today to say. We've been left out of the conversation. We've been vilified. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I'm sorry, buddy. They don't care. They don't care what you have to say because ACAB. You know what ACAB means? All cops are, you know the last word, right? It's a B word. They're for a reference to somebody whose parents aren't married. It means a bunch of other things, right? But it basically means there is no reform. There are no good cops, and there is nothing you can do about it. If you're a cop, you're bad, they say. Listen, I have actually in my life had more negative interactions with police than positive ones. So I can certainly understand he might think he's a good guy, and he might say all these other cops are good guys, and many of them probably are. The problem is most interactions are not, in my opinion, positive. Listen, when you're speeding and you get pulled over and get a ticket, these people are going to have complaints about it. That's the point I'm trying to make. So you end up in a circumstance where a cop might legitimately give someone a speeding ticket and the person gets mad about it, and so they file a complaint. So you want to talk about overwhelmingly positive interactions. I understand from your perspective it may be routine, but this is not surprising. Let me try and break this down what I'm trying to say. It's easy to actually disband the police. It is. Because people don't want to be held accountable. People want to speed. People want to jaywalk. People want to break the law. Well, a lot of cops just want to issue tickets. There is criticism to go around to the police, though, in this regard. I mean, they say they don't have quotas. But come on, man. We know that a lot of these departments rely on revenue from tickets and, to a certain extent, arrests and fines to function. And so this is what you're going to end up seeing. People don't like police. When people are driving and they see a cop, they don't feel safe. There are circumstances where people do feel they have no choice but to ask cops. But we got to understand, man, in a small town, let me tell you this, in a small town, you probably, wave to the cop, you know him, you love him, they help you out. In big cities, it is not that way. I'm sorry. In big cities, there is anxiety when the cops show up. I'm not even kidding, man. I mean, look, that's from me coming from the south side of Chicago. The point I'm trying to make is these cops, I get it. But New York City has serious problems. This is a Democratic city in a Democratic state with Democratic congressmen, with Democratic senators, and they have enacted policies that these protesters are complaining about. I do not believe defunding or disbanding the police is the right answer. I believe maybe reprioritizing budgets makes a lot of sense. I don't think cops should have armored personnel carriers for the most part. I think police don't necessarily need to carry around rifles in their trunks. Not all of them do. And I often wonder, why does a traffic cop has a gun? And they do. Seriously, in New York. I'm like, listen, in other countries, they might have a civil guard who has authority to ticket and arrest who doesn't have a gun. And then they have actual cops that are armed. So they actually create a distinction there. Maybe that's an answer. I honestly don't know. Listen, I'm a moderate, right? That means I grew up in cities where I've seen bad things from cops. And I know people who don't feel safe around them. That's a fact. But I've also had good interactions with police, and I understand the importance of having them. If someone's going to break into your building, you call the cops, they come and help you. But because of the general negative sentiment, and because people don't want to be held accountable, they go to a stupid place. It's a Chinese finger trap problem, right? If you have a lot of people in cities that don't like the cops, if you have activists now vilifying them in the press, and even lawmakers, then people are going to say, abolish the police. And what happens? They do. And then what happens? I bring you back to Los Angeles. Homicides this week have increased 250% in LA compared to last week, LAPD says. Yeah. Okay, we get it. Let me read more of what they said. O'Meara continued. Nobody talks about the number of police that were killed last week in America, and there were a number of them. We don't condone Minneapolis. We roundly reject what he did as disgusting. It's disgusting. It's not what we do. It's not what police officers do. I can agree with that. We have seen, because of social media, a rise in content that vilifies police because it gives someone a cause to rally against. And because a lot of these cops have gotten away with really, really messed up things. Some people have said about the riots, why have they rioted? Because all of the peaceful protests didn't work. That's not true at all. And I get really annoyed when I see this. Listen, I am a moderate. It's the point I'm trying to make. I have a general negative experience with the police, but I've had positive ones. And I recognize the importance of the police department. That's where I sit. So I'm for reform. That's basically the issue. I have seen people say that peaceful protests didn't work, and so they must riot. It's the only way to get things done. No, it isn't. The protests did work. Did you see what happened with the 2A people in Virginia when they all showed up and peacefully rallied? And then all of a sudden, Democratic officials in the state blocked this gun legislation or whatever? It worked. Peaceful rally worked. And now what they say is they look at that and say, see, that proves racism. No, it doesn't, man. It's insane. Because we have seen a lot of people come out and peacefully protest. And you had everyone on your side already. If anything, the riots just made it worse for everybody. And now what's going to happen? When they overcharge Chauvin and he potentially could get off and get found not guilty or guilty of a lesser charge, they're going to riot again. And they're going to say, see, it doesn't work. No, what didn't work is that you demanded too much. And sure, you can argue the rioting worked because they caved to you. And then they upped the charges on this guy. And now they're saying, the experts are saying it might not actually stick. Here's what he said. Our legislators abandoned us. The press is vilifying us. Well, you know what, guys? I'm proud to be a cop, and I'm going to continue to be proud to be a cop until the day I retire. And that's all I have to say. In the wake of George Floyd's death, groups such as Black Lives Matter, along with left-wing lawmakers, have called for defunding and dismantling police forces. Let me tell you what happens when you disband the police force. Take a look at this GoFundMe. Support the Minneapolis Sanctuary Hotel. Here's what they say. At 8 p.m. on Friday, May 29th, just blocks from the epicenter of the uprising fighting for justice in the streets of South Minneapolis, armored vehicles and hundreds of National Guard advanced on Hiawatha Avenue. The curfew was in effect and the state offered no options. In Minneapolis, in Minneapolis, for an unsheltered couple camped outside. The shelters were full and the hotels promised the large encampment left them and many others behind. They finally found refuge in a hotel a few blocks away. Throughout the night, people came in with harrowing stories of terror from police and other white supremacists. The National Guard shot rubber bullets at our community members who stood outside to protect the building. So much of our beloved Lake Street burned around us. The next morning, we learned the hotel owners planned to evacuate, but so much of the community was still in need of shelter. With the owners' gracious support, people stepped forward and created a mutual aid community care system. No, I really doubt the owner supported it. I really, really doubt it. I'm sure he was terrified that if he rejected this, they would burn his building to the ground and he had no choice but to flee. That's just my opinion, but come on, you can have yours. And now the building is occupied. Why? Well, because the owner was forced to bend the knee. The police aren't going to come in and save him. The police are going to be disbanded. So what happens now when a group of zealots shows up to your bakery, your barber shop, your coffee shop, and says, from this point forward, you are the commune resource center? What are you going to say? Well, the cops aren't going to support you. They've disbanded them, defunded them, and the cops don't want to get involved. You're going to say, but it's my bakery. And they're going to say, you're not a racist, are you? You're not a bigot, are you? And then they're going to tell you to leave. And they're going to celebrate and cheer and talk about their new food station. And your business will be gone. And everything you worked for will be gone. The owner graciously supported the loss of his building and his livelihood. Somehow I just don't believe that. But we've seen it across the board. People who are being canceled and being fired. This is the next step. They have taken over 7 city blocks in Seattle. Where are the police? The community didn't support them. That's it. I'm sorry. They didn't. The police received 12,000 complaints about tear gas use or whatever, so they left. Now the local businesses are apparently being forced to, quote, disaffiliate from the city, according to some of the activists. And they're expanding. And armed, I shouldn't call them activists, extremists, are pushing the barricades and seizing more land in the now 7-block radius. Bulletproof vests and armed guards are standing watch. Or many armed people are there, according to some locals on the ground. This will come to your city the moment they start defunding the police. But it's not even about the police. I ask you, why haven't the police stepped in to protect this business owner? Because the business owner bent the knee. There's nothing to protect. Why, they've chosen to give up their building to these extremists. And there it is. They'll come to your house, they'll come to your business, they'll take it from you and say, if you call the police, we'll tell everyone how much of a bigot you are. Don't you want to support the community? That's right. You don't want to be a bigot, do you? Congratulations, your life is over. These people are taking ground, and seemingly no one seems to notice or care until it'll be too late. And then you won't have a police department to protect you. So what will you do at that point? I think a lot of these cops, a lot of these people are just going to flee the cities, go off in the middle of nowhere, take a van down by the river and say, leave me out of it. And that means these wackos will continue taking more and more buildings. And instead of hearing that the buildings are being seized by force, you will hear that the owners graciously chose to support the party and the cause. That's how it starts. I mean, it's not even starting. I mean, it's literally happening. It's been happening and it'll happen more. Then you can see how GoFundMe operates. GoFundMe will ban a journalist, but they will allow $155,000 to be funneled into this seized resource. And the police won't do anything about it because the community won't support them. That's where things get scary. This is one of the reasons I think they're adamant about abolishing the police. They're using racism as a guise for it. The police make a really, really good point. Look, I get it. I can mention general negative interactions. I grew up in the city, but I still think the police department should exist. I think we just need some reforms. But these people are not being honest about what their true intentions are. They say the police department is irredeemably racist. It cannot be reformed. Therefore, it must be abolished. So Minneapolis will. In Minneapolis, they've seized a hotel. What comes next? It's going to be a lot of fun, I'd imagine, right? For all the stupid people who refuse to stand up. It'll be too late for them. And then they won't have a business. They'll be forced to work for free. They'll have no resources, and boy, will they hate it. They will get everything they wished for. For the rest of regular people who refuse to speak up against this, don't be surprised when you lose it. If you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for anything. That's the saying, right? Now look at this. Who's going to support this business owner? Nobody. The business owner had no choice but to say, yes, please, you can have my building. I really doubt they just agreed to give up everything. And where are they now? I'd imagine a lot of these people are fleeing. Like I said, I imagine a lot of them are taking stock of what they own and their possessions and trying to now prepare themselves for the future. The police are getting increasingly agitated, and this is all part of the plan. Did you ever see that graphic that was posted about how, insurgency takes over and how a coup and a revolution starts? Everything right now is underground, and regular people are ignoring this, and their allies in media are not telling you what's really happening, and they're actively seeking to get anyone who opposes them banned. So I don't know how long I have. It'll probably happen really soon, considering the flow of things. We said it was going to get crazy near the election. It won't end after the election, no matter who wins. The cult is coming for the police. The police are now forced to scream in defiance about how they're being ignored and abandoned by everyone. But they're proud. It doesn't matter because the average person refuses to speak up. The cultists are screaming at the top of their lungs. The media will vilify anyone who dares oppose them. So the only narrative that persists is orange man bad, blue man bad, support us or else. They'll take your business, they'll take your building, they'll take your city streets, and the cops will be told to stand down. That's what you get. That's where we're headed. Is anybody doing anything about the crazy people in Seattle? No, the cops left. The locals complained. I'm really excited to see what happens to these locals in Seattle once they start living under the boot of authoritarians. These people are not freedom-loving individuals. They claim they want freedom. It's all part of the lie. The symbol, the revolution fist, is a communist symbol about the fingers being stronger together. You read up the history. It was used in the Spanish Civil War. I don't know exactly when it started, but it was a counter message to the fascists. Not fascists, the fascists. The banding of sticks, because together they were strong. The communists had the same message. They're both authoritarian, crazy people. Right now, the two principal factions that I'm seeing are the libertarians and the authoritarians. That's not an all-encompassing view of what's really going on because there are subsects and varying tribes based on their specific goals. People like me, for instance, find ourselves in alliance with many other conservatives. Why? Because they believe in individual liberty. And the people who believe in maximum state authority have all basically aligned around varying ideologies. So this is what you get. Go to my Twitter. Go to Instagram.com/Timcast. And what will you see? There is an image they have made of a fist crushing the Gadsden snake. The snake symbolizes a warning to leave me alone. That's what the snake is, the rattlesnake. On the flag, it says, don't tread on me. What does it mean? The snake, when you see it, it makes a noise so you know if you attack it, it will strike back, a deadly viper. However, the symbol they use, the fist, crushes the snake, saying, we will tread. What does that mean? Don't tread on me says, leave me alone to live my life. It's part of the idea of living and let live. I will do me, you will do you, and we will not infringe on each other to the best of our abilities. We will tread explicitly states we will crush you and take your rights from you. We will not leave you alone. If you think that you will be safe in your suburban house, minding your own business, you are wrong. I heard the helicopters near my house before. Something needs to be said about how crazy these people are, and people need to stand up. The cops are doing it now, but the cops don't have support. So it's only a matter of time before someone comes and occupies your home. And the Third Amendment won't protect you when society forces you to bend the knee. Like I said about the Sheraton Hotel, the owner graciously supported us. Did he really? Did they really? I don't know, maybe it's a woman. Or do they know that they will be canceled, fired, and attacked, and mobbed, and threatened, and no one will protect them unless they give everything up? Man, I am telling you, go read history. Maybe this all stops here. It's possible. It's possible we stop it from expanding. I don't think so, man, because I thought it was going to get worse then. I think it'll get worse now. You see all the people getting fired from their jobs for criticizing these people. You see the flag burning. Then when they come to your business and say, give us your building, they're seizing the means of production one step at a time, right? How long before they go to a farm and say it's time the rich landowners give up the property to the proletariat? Maybe it doesn't happen. I don't know. But isn't it funny how they've seized 7 city blocks in Seattle and a hotel? They're going to come to you and you have no choice but to give it up. And there won't be anyone there to protect you. There will be no police department. There will be no law. Maybe Bill Barr will step in and the federal government will have no choice but to shut this stuff down. The problem is culture. The government can say, you can't do this. But if the Sheraton owner says, no, it's okay, I'm giving it to them, well, then the police and the government isn't going to do anything about it. If the cultural pressures supersede the political guarantees, then people will bend the knee and lose everything. The people get what they deserve, man. The people who refuse to stand up and fight. I would rather live on my feet than die on my knees. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at timcast.net. Check it out. It's my other channel, and I will see you all then.